There is a truth that few men will ever dare to accept, though it stands before them every day of their lives. Wealth begins in the mind. Fortune is not the product of luck, nor is it the monopoly of birth. It is the result of law, the law of thought, the law of discipline, the law of persistence. Every man who has risen from obscurity to riches has done so by first conquering himself. Every empire, every industry, every fortune was first built in silence, in thought, in the hidden chambers of the mind. I tell you plainly, I am a multimillionaire, and you can be too. This is not a boast, but a law. It is not an exception, but a principle. I am not different from you in flesh or blood. What separates us is not chance, but command. I have mastered my inner world. I have governed my thoughts, disciplined my actions, detached from the noise of opinion, and focused my mind on definiteness of purpose until wealth became inevitable. You may do the same. The tragedy of most men is not that they lack opportunity, but that they lack mastery. They live enslaved to emotion. They react to every whisper of fear, every surge of desire, every dart of criticism. They crave approval, and so they sell their destiny for the applause of fools. They drown in mental chaos, chasing 100 purposes and finishing none, and then they call life unfair. But life is not unfair. Life is exact. Life is governed by laws as strict as gravity. If you allow your emotions to govern your actions, you forfeit your power. But if you command your thoughts, you command your future. Wealth is not money. Wealth is mastery. Wealth is order in the mind, purpose in the heart, discipline in the body, and calmness in the soul. Money is only the shadow cast by inner mastery. You cannot chase the shadow. You must master the substance. Once you control yourself, the world yields its riches to you as a natural effect. Consider the first principle, definiteness of purpose. No man may become rich by accident. He may stumble upon money, but he will lose it. For wealth without purpose is like water in open hands. Only the man with a definite aim can attract, hold, and multiply wealth. You must decide with absolute clarity. What do I want? Why must I have it? What will I give in exchange for it? This decision becomes the compass of your mind, the law that governs your thoughts, the command that orders your days. Without definiteness, confidence collapses, discipline falters, wealth escapes. With definiteness, even the smallest effort compounds into fortune. The second principle is self-discipline. Fortune demands a price, and that price is mastery over self. You cannot indulge weakness and expect riches. You cannot waste hours and expect gold. You cannot betray your word to yourself and expect the world to trust you with abundance. Wealth flows to the disciplined, because discipline is the proof of readiness. Every fortune is a trust. No man will be trusted with millions who cannot first be trusted with minutes. The third principle is autosuggestion. The subconscious is the silent partner in all riches. It works day and night, shaping your habits, guiding your instincts, opening your eyes to opportunities or blinding you to them. Most men use it against themselves. They repeat silently, I can't, I'm not ready, I'm unlucky, I'll fail. And so their subconscious builds a life of poverty. But the wise man seizes this law. He repeats daily, I am disciplined, I am detached, I am confident, I am a multi-millionaire in thought, in character, in destiny. He speaks it with faith until his subconscious obeys. And once the subconscious obeys, action becomes natural and results become inevitable. The fourth principle is mastery over emotion. Wealth requires calmness. It requires detachment. The markets will rise and fall. People will cheer and condemn. Opportunities will appear and vanish. The undisciplined man reacts. He panics when prices fall. He hesitates when chances appear. He crumbles under criticism. He indulges in greed. And so he loses. The disciplined man responds. He observes calmly, thinks accurately, acts deliberately. He is not moved by fear, not intoxicated by desire, not broken by insult. And so he endures, and because he endures, he wins. The fifth principle is accurate thinking. Poverty is built upon illusion. Men believe lies, that riches are reserved for the few, that luck determines success, that effort is wasted. They live by opinion, not by truth. The disciplined man trains his mind to separate fact from opinion, truth from rumor, cause from coincidence. He thinks accurately, and so he acts powerfully. And power in action attracts wealth as surely as magnet draws iron. These principles are laws, and they are simple, but they are not easy. They require daily practice. They require that you detach from emotion, discipline your time, affirm your purpose, govern your thoughts, and act with definiteness. Yet 5 minutes a day is enough to begin. 5 minutes of discipline is more than most men practice in a lifetime. 5 minutes of definite thought is more than most men invest in their destiny. 5 minutes of mastery, repeated daily, compounds into millions. And so I tell you again, I am a multi-millionaire, and you can be too. Not because I am different, but because I have obeyed the laws. They are the same for all men. They do not respect birth, education, or chance. They respect only mastery. And mastery is a choice. You may choose today. Wealth does not come to those who chase it wildly, nor to those who beg for it timidly. It comes to those who command it lawfully. You do not plead with riches, you attract them. You do not stumble into abundance. You create it by mastering yourself. Money is a servant, and like all servants, it obeys only the master who has proven authority. Most men never learn this, and so they live as slaves, slaves to wages, slaves to debt, slaves to opinion, slaves to fear. But he who becomes master of himself rises above slavery and commands fortune as naturally as the sun commands light. Let us go deeper into the principle of definiteness of purpose. Every fortune begins as a thought, but only a definite thought. The man who says vaguely, "I wish to be rich," will die with nothing, for his wish has no clarity, no form, no law. The man who says, "I will build this enterprise, I will provide this service, I will create this wealth, and I will do it with discipline until it is done," this man has begun to bend destiny. Wealth does not come to wishes, it comes to plans. Definiteness gives shape to your days. Without it, you drift. With it, you march. The drifter spends his life reacting to circumstance. He begins one thing, then another, never finishing, never compounding. He lives on impulse and dies in mediocrity. The man of definiteness chooses once, and that choice orders every act. He does not drift because he knows his direction. He does not waste because he knows what to invest in. He does not falter because his purpose is fixed like the North Star. You must write your purpose, fix it in words. Say, "I will become a multi-millionaire by mastering myself, disciplining my mind, detaching from weakness, and focusing my efforts upon this definite aim." Write not timidly, but with absolute finality. Let these words become law in your mind, unshaken by doubt, unaltered by criticism, unbroken by delay. For the mind that knows its purpose cannot be defeated. It can only be delayed. Now, let us examine self-discipline as it relates to wealth. Wealth is not built by accident, nor by indulgence. Every dollar is a soldier, and the disciplined man marshals them into armies of investment. The undisciplined man squanders them in pleasures, and his army dies before the battle begins. The disciplined man restrains his appetites. He does not spend to impress. He does not consume to escape. He does not waste to comfort his weakness. He invests, he multiplies, he compounds. And compounding, though slow at first, becomes unstoppable over time. But self-discipline is not only about money, it is about the whole man. He who cannot govern his mouth will speak weakness into existence. He who cannot govern his body will trade health for indulgence. He who cannot govern his time will trade destiny for distraction. Each indulgence weakens confidence. Each act of discipline strengthens it. Wealth flows to those who prove themselves worthy of it by their ability to govern small things. For if you cannot command yourself, you cannot command riches. Ask yourself, do I rise when I say I will rise? Do I finish what I begin? Do I speak when I should and remain silent when I must? Do I use my hours as gold, or do I squander them as if they were infinite? These questions reveal whether you are training for wealth or for poverty. Discipline is not cruel. Discipline is love, love for your future self, love for your destiny, love for the power within you that demands expression. Now we must consider the law of autosuggestion. The subconscious mind is the hidden workshop of wealth. It accepts every command you give it, whether true or false, whether deliberate or careless, and it works tirelessly to manifest it. If you tell it daily, I cannot, it will prove you right. If you tell it daily, I will, it will move heaven and earth to obey. Repeat to yourself with faith, I am a multi-millionaire. I think like one. I act like one. I discipline myself like one. I persist like one. I will not stop until my wealth is realized, and even then I will not stop, for discipline is eternal. Speak these words aloud with conviction until your subconscious accepts them. For once accepted, they will govern your actions, attract opportunities, repel weakness, and direct you toward fortune. The undisciplined scoff at affirmations, calling them fantasies, yet their own lives prove the law, for they affirm weakness daily. I'll never succeed. I'm not good enough. The world is unfair. And their subconscious obeys with precision. Better to affirm strength deliberately, for the subconscious has no choice but to yield. Let us now turn to mastery over emotion. This is perhaps the rarest quality among men, and therefore the most valuable. Most fortunes are lost not to lack of opportunity, but to lack of control. Men panic in downturns and sell when they should hold. Men become greedy in booms and invest when they should wait. Men fear criticism and abandon their plans before they bear fruit. Men crave comfort and spend their seed instead of planting it. In every case, emotion, not reason, destroys wealth. The disciplined millionaire is detached. He is not swayed by fear, nor intoxicated by greed, nor broken by insult. He observes, he thinks, he chooses deliberately. He responds with reason, not with reaction. And because he governs himself, he governs the outcome. If you would build wealth that endures, you must detach from emotion. Watch the tides of greed and fear pass others by, while you remain steady. For he who remains calm when others collapse will inherit their riches. Now consider accurate thinking. Wealth demands clarity. You cannot afford to live by rumor, opinion, or assumption. You must train your mind to ask, is this fact or hearsay? Is this cause or coincidence? Is this truth or illusion? Accurate thinking cuts away the lies that enslave most men. The poor man believes the lie that riches are for the lucky. The disciplined man sees the truth. Riches follow law. The poor man believes the lie that opportunity is scarce. The disciplined man sees the truth. Opportunity is abundant to those who are prepared. The poor man believes the lie that effort is wasted. The disciplined man sees the truth. Effort compounded daily becomes unstoppable. Confidence comes from accurate thinking. Fear thrives in vagueness. Confidence thrives in clarity. Once you see reality as it is, you no longer tremble at shadows. You no longer mistake delay for denial nor failure for finality. You see truth, and truth sets you free. Combine these principles, and wealth becomes inevitable. Definiteness of purpose gives direction. Self-discipline gives control. Autosuggestion gives belief. Mastery over emotion gives stability. Accurate thinking gives clarity. Together, they form the inner empire from which outer empires are built. Wealth is not outside you, it is within you. Money is not the goal, it is the effect. Master yourself, and money must come. Fail to master yourself, and money, even if it comes, will vanish. This is why lottery winners go broke, why heirs squander fortunes, why undisciplined men collapse under success. They built no inner empire, and so their outer empire crumbled. But the man who builds within can lose everything and build it again, for his wealth is not in his bank, but in his mind. I tell you again, I am a multi-millionaire, and you can be too. The law does not discriminate. It does not ask your background, your education, your circumstance. It asks only this: will you master yourself? Will you detach from weakness, discipline your actions, affirm your strength, govern your emotions, and think accurately? If you will, wealth is certain. Wealth is not mysterious. It is not the favor of the gods nor the accident of fortune. It is cause and effect, as precise as the rising of the Sunday. When you think with definiteness, you act with direction. When you act with direction, you build momentum. When you discipline yourself, you conserve energy. When you conserve energy, you apply it with force. When you master emotion, you remain steady through storms. When you remain steady, you outlast rivals. When you think accurately, you avoid traps. When you avoid traps, you preserve gains. Combine these causes, and the effect is inevitable: wealth. The man who has not yet mastered himself looks at millionaires and whispers, "They are lucky." He does not see the discipline behind the fortune. He does not see the years of command, the nights of persistence, the repeated victories over fear and desire. He sees the mansion, but not the self-mastery. He sees the car, but not the sacrifice. He sees the wealth, but not the law. And so he remains poor, not because wealth is denied him, but because he refuses to obey the law that produces it. Let us consider the principle of response versus reaction as it relates to riches. The markets will always change. Opportunities will always rise and fall. Rivals will always plot. The crowd will always shout. The weak react. They panic in downturns, they indulge in booms, they lash out when criticized, they collapse when ignored, their fortunes rise and fall as their emotions do, but the disciplined millionaire responds. He pauses, he detaches, he calculates, he chooses. He does not chase every rumor, nor does he retreat at every obstacle. His steadiness becomes his power. Think of a storm at sea. The ship without a captain is thrown by the waves until it sinks. The ship with a captain may not stop the storm, but it stays its course. So it is with wealth. The undisciplined man is sunk by every storm. The disciplined man navigates them calmly, and while others sink, he advances. And when the storm ends, as storms always do, he stands where others are destroyed. That is mastery, and mastery is wealth. Now let us speak of personal initiative. Confidence alone is not enough. Discipline alone is not enough. You must act. You must take initiative. Wealth does not visit the man who waits for permission. It does not flow to the man who asks timidly. It comes to the man who dares to move when others hesitate. Personal initiative is the proof of confidence. It is the demonstration that you do not wait for conditions to be perfect. You act and make conditions obey you. The weak man says, "When the time is right, I will begin." The strong man says, "I will begin, and by beginning, I will make the time right." This is why the masses drift, while the few build empires. The masses wait, the few move. You must train yourself to act daily. Each day, 5 minutes of initiative builds the habit. Make the call you fear. Start the task you delay. Approach the opportunity you doubt. These acts may seem small, but they are the proof to your soul that you are not a waiter but a mover. And once your soul believes you are a mover, confidence becomes nature and riches follow. Let us now examine the law of compounding effort. The undisciplined demand quick results. They begin, and when riches do not fall instantly, they quit. They abandon the field just as the harvest is near. They dig for gold, stop 3 feet from the vein, and walk away, and then they call life cruel. But life is not cruel. They were impatient. The disciplined millionaire understands compounding. He knows that each act of effort, each act of discipline, each act of initiative is a drop of water wearing away stone. At first, nothing is visible, but in time, the stone splits. The world calls it sudden, but he knows it was inevitable. Wealth is built the same way. Each disciplined investment, each wise choice, each calm decision, each accurate thought compounds invisibly. Days, months, years, nothing seems to happen. And then suddenly, abundance floods. But there is nothing sudden about it. It is the result of compounded law. This is why persistence is wealth's twin. No man may become rich without persistence, because compounding requires time. The undisciplined quit too early, and so they never reap. The disciplined persist until compounding becomes unstoppable, and then fortune flows as a river. Now consider silence and calmness as weapons of wealth. The weak betray themselves with words. They boast to impress, they chatter to fill silence, they reveal their plans to gain approval, and because they reveal, rivals strike, critics mock, distractions multiply. Their wealth dies in noise. The disciplined millionaire is silent. He moves quietly. He works without announcement. He reveals only what is necessary. His silence protects him. His calmness disarms others. His stillness conserves energy. Practice silence daily. Train yourself to hold your tongue when impulse urges speech. Observe others without rushing to reply. Let your stillness speak louder than words. In time, your presence will carry weight, for others will feel your calm command. This calm command is wealth. For wealth is not only numbers, but influence, and influence flows from presence. Let us also consider responsibility. Weak men flee responsibility, for they fear failure, but by fleeing, they weaken themselves further. The disciplined embrace responsibility, for they know it is the forge of greatness. He who dares to say, "The outcome is mine," grows in stature with each challenge. Confidence expands, respect follows. Wealth flows to the man who accepts responsibility, because responsibility is leadership, and leadership is paid in riches. Train yourself daily to take one responsibility you have avoided. Decide what others delay. Act where others hesitate. Carry what others drop. These acts, repeated, carve confidence into your soul, and wealth flows naturally to the confident. Now let us speak of gratitude as a multiplier of wealth. Gratitude is not sentiment, it is power. The weak complain daily, and each complaint convinces their subconscious they are powerless. The disciplined give thanks daily, and each act of gratitude convinces their subconscious they are rich already. Gratitude shifts focus from lack to abundance, from weakness to strength, from despair to hope. The man who lives in gratitude walks as though fortune is already his, and fortune, seeing his readiness, comes to him. Spend 5 minutes a day in gratitude. Speak aloud. I am grateful for my discipline, for my purpose, for my persistence, for my mind, for the opportunities that are drawn to me daily. This simple act multiplies confidence, and confidence multiplies wealth. Finally, let us examine faith. Faith is the crown of all principles. It is the certainty that if you obey the law, you must receive the reward. Faith does not mean waiting idly. It means acting with assurance that your action will yield fruit, though the fruit is not yet seen. Faith is discipline applied with certainty. The undisciplined doubt, and their doubt poisons their effort. They work half-heartedly, quit quickly, and then wonder why they remain poor. The disciplined believe, and their belief fuels persistence. They work fully, persist long, and so wealth is inevitable. Faith is built daily by affirming truth. If I persist, I must succeed. If I discipline myself, I must grow. If I master my mind, I must master my wealth. This is not hope, it is law. And the man who knows the law walks with confidence the world cannot comprehend. Every fortune is built twice, first in the mind, then in the world. The poor man attempts to build only once. He seeks riches outwardly, while his inner world is chaos. He plans businesses, yet cannot plan his thoughts. He seeks investors, yet cannot invest in discipline. He chases opportunity, yet cannot command himself to seize it. And so he fails, again and again, and blames chance. The multi-millionaire knows better. He builds within first. He clears his mind of doubt, plants definiteness of purpose, waters it daily with affirmation, prunes it with discipline, shields it with detachment, and lets it grow until no storm can uproot it. Only then does he build outwardly. And because his inner empire is secure, his outer empire endures. Let us now go deeper into emotional detachment, for it is the key that unlocks every other principle. Without detachment, discipline collapses, autosuggestion is poisoned, accurate thinking is impossible, purpose is distorted. Detachment is freedom from the tyranny of impulse. It is the refusal to let moods dictate action. It is the mastery of response over reaction. The weak man cannot detach. He rises when praised, falls when criticized, works when inspired, quits when discouraged. His emotions are his master, and he is their slave. Such a man may dream of millions, but he will never hold them, for fortune requires steadiness. The detached man is different. Praise does not intoxicate him. Criticism does not weaken him. Failure does not break him. Success does not blind him. He remains calm, steady, deliberate. This steadiness is irresistible. Fortune trusts it. Fortune obeys it. You may begin detachment with small acts. When insulted, do not reply immediately. When afraid, do not flee immediately. When tempted, do not indulge immediately. Pause, breathe, ask, what serves my purpose? Then act not from emotion, but from law. Each such act weakens the hold of emotion, strengthens the power of reason, and builds confidence. And confidence, multiplied daily, becomes wealth. Let us connect this with self-discipline. Detachment is freedom. Discipline is structure. Together they are empire. Detachment clears the noise. Discipline builds the order. Without discipline, detachment becomes passivity. Without detachment, discipline becomes slavery. Combined, they form mastery. Discipline is not punishment. It is alignment. It is the alignment of your actions with your purpose. The undisciplined drift. They spend when they should save. They speak when they should be silent. They waste when they should invest. They rest when they should work. They betray themselves in small things and wonder why they are betrayed by fortune in great things. The disciplined do the opposite. They align each act, each hour, each choice with their definite aim. Over time, these aligned acts compound into power, into influence, into wealth. Hear this law. If you cannot discipline yourself in the small, you will never be trusted with the great. Wealth is not a gift, it is a trust. It flows only to those who have proven themselves trustworthy in the handling of time, thought, action, and money. 5 minutes a day of discipline builds the habit. 5 minutes of keeping your word. 5 minutes of doing what you said you would do, whether you feel like it or not. These minutes accumulate into integrity, and integrity is the foundation of fortune. Now let us return to autosuggestion, for it is the engine that drives the subconscious toward wealth. The world is filled with men who say, "I'll believe it when I see it." And so they never believe, and so they never see. The disciplined say, "I will see it because I believe it." And because they believe, their actions align, their persistence endures, their confidence radiates, and in time the world conforms. The subconscious cannot resist repetition. It is neutral. It obeys whatever is fed to it. If you repeat weakness, you will become weak. If you repeat strength, you will become strong. If you repeat wealth, you will become wealthy. This is not mysticism, it is law. For what you repeat becomes what you believe. What you believe becomes what you do. What you do becomes what you are. And what you are becomes your destiny. Affirm daily, "I am a multi-millionaire in thought, in character, in discipline, in destiny. I act with calmness. I think with accuracy. I govern my emotions. I persist until success is mine. Money flows to me as a natural effect of my mastery." Do not say these timidly. Say them with fire. Say them until your subconscious bows, until your soul believes, until your actions obey without hesitation. For once belief is absolute, doubt is impossible, and wealth becomes inevitable. Now let us dive deeper into accurate thinking. Riches are lost more often to illusion than to reality. Men panic at rumors and sell their fortunes. Men believe flattery and make foolish investments. Men mistake coincidence for cause and ruin themselves in error. The multimillionaire does not permit this. He asks always, what is fact? What is assumption? What is cause? What is effect? This habit of separating fact from opinion is the armor of wealth. It shields you from panic, from rumor, from manipulation. It keeps your mind calm, your actions deliberate, your wealth secure. 5 minutes a day of accurate thinking reshapes the mind. Take one thought, one fear, one rumor, and test it. Write it down. Ask, is this true? Can it be proven? Does it serve my purpose? Cut away illusions until only truth remains, and the man who acts only on truth cannot be defeated. Accurate thinking also protects you from self-deception. Many sabotage themselves not because of enemies, but because of lies they tell themselves. They say, "I am disciplined," when they are not. They say, "I am persistent," when they quit easily. They say, "I am thinking big," when their purpose is small. Accurate thinking demands honesty, and honesty demands courage. Face yourself without flinching. Measure yourself against your purpose, not your comfort. Each day you do this, you sharpen your mind like a sword, and wealth flows to the sharp, not the dull. Now let us weave these together into cause and effect. Detachment keeps you calm, discipline keeps you aligned, autosuggestion keeps you confident, accurate thinking keeps you clear. Together, they create persistence, and persistence creates wealth. It is impossible to fail when these laws are obeyed. You may be delayed, but delay is not defeat. You may fail, but failure is not final. You may suffer, but suffering is not surrender. The man who detaches, disciplines, affirms, and thinks accurately cannot quit, and the man who cannot quit cannot be denied. Wealth must yield to him, for he outlasts every obstacle, every rival, every storm. And here lies the final secret. Multimillionaire wealth is not built by accident, but by law. Law is exact. Law does not fail. Law does not favor one over another. Law obeys whoever obeys it. If you train your mind daily, if you discipline yourself without excuse, if you detach from emotion, if you affirm strength, if you think accurately, if you persist relentlessly, wealth is yours as surely as the harvest follows planting. We have reached the summit of these truths, but the summit is not an end, it is a beginning. For knowledge without action is still poverty. Wealth belongs only to the man who acts. You may nod at these principles. You may admire them. You may even memorize them. But until you live them, they are nothing. You must breathe them, practice them, enforce them until they carve themselves into your soul. Only then will you rise and declare, not with words alone, but with destiny itself, I am a multi-millionaire and I made myself so by law. Understand this once and forever. Poverty is the result of neglect. Wealth is the result of command. Neglect your minutes, and you neglect your fortune. Neglect your thoughts, and you corrupt your purpose. Neglect your discipline, and you betray your destiny. Neglect becomes habit, habit becomes character, character becomes fate. And the fate of neglect is always poverty. But command your minutes, command your thoughts, command your emotions, command your actions, and you command your destiny. Command becomes habit, habit becomes character, character becomes fate. And the fate of command is always wealth. The world is waiting for masters. It is drowning in drifters, in weak men who ask permission to live, in undisciplined men who betray their own word, in emotional men who collapse under pressure. The world rewards them with mediocrity, for they have earned nothing else. But when a man rises who has mastered himself, the world takes notice. Opportunity seeks him out. Money flows to him. Influence radiates from him. For the world bows, consciously or not, to mastery. Do not deceive yourself. Mastery is not comfort. It is struggle. It is choosing discipline when weakness tempts. It is detachment when emotion screams. It is persistence when failure mocks. It is accurate thought when illusion flatters. It is definiteness when distraction seduces. It is war against the enemy within, but it is a war you can win if you fight daily. And each small victory is a stone in the fortress of your wealth. Repeat this law. I will not quit. I will not drift. I will not surrender. I will master myself until wealth becomes inevitable. I will rise above emotion. I will act by discipline. I will affirm my destiny daily. I will think accurately. I will persist until fortune bows to me. Say it until your soul trembles with belief. Say it until your subconscious obeys without question. Say it until quitting becomes impossible. And then prove it. In the next 5 minutes, begin. Do not wait for tomorrow is the excuse of the weak. Do not wait for inspiration follows action. Do not wait for permission, for you require none. Begin now. Sit upright. Breathe deeply. Write your definite purpose in bold words. Affirm it aloud. Commit to one act of discipline you will not betray. Silence one emotion that seeks to command you. Replace one lie with truth. These small acts performed now are wealth already, for they are the planting of fortune's seed. If you say, I am a multi-millionaire, and yet live as a drifter, you are a liar to yourself, and lies produce nothing. But if you say, I am a multi-millionaire, and then act with definiteness, discipline, detachment, and persistence, the universe itself conspires to make it true, for law cannot fail. Cause cannot be denied its effect. Hear me. Money is not your master. It is your servant. It will serve you faithfully if you prove yourself worthy. But if you allow it to master you, it will corrupt you, enslave you, destroy you. Wealth without mastery is a curse. Wealth with mastery is power. The man who builds himself before he builds his fortune can be trusted with millions. The man who builds fortune before himself will lose it, and often more. Therefore, vow this. I will master myself before I master millions, and because of that mastery, the millions will come. Think of the man who obeys these laws. He rises each morning not waiting for mood, but obeying command. He sits in silence for minutes, affirming his destiny. He disciplines his body, his words, his time. He detaches from praise and criticism alike, walking steadily on his path. He separates truth from lies with accuracy. He persists day after day, undisturbed by delay, unbroken by failure. Years pass, storms come, rivals mock. Yet he continues. And one day, as surely as sunrise, fortune flows to him. The world calls it sudden. He knows it was inevitable. This can be you. Not tomorrow, not someday. Now. There is no barrier but your own refusal. The law is available to all, but only the few will obey. Will you? Or will you drift back into comfort, into mediocrity, into poverty of thought and purse? The choice is yours. The law is neutral. It will not favor you, nor will it oppose you. It will simply reflect you. What you plant, it will grow. What you affirm, it will manifest. What you discipline, it will multiply. What you neglect, it will wither. So choose today. Choose definiteness. Choose discipline. Choose autosuggestion. Choose detachment. Choose accurate thinking. Choose persistence. Choose mastery. And by choosing mastery, you choose millions. For I tell you again, I am a multi-millionaire, and you can be too. Not because of luck, not because of chance, not because of circumstance, but because law is exact and law obeys whoever obeys it. Wealth is not a mystery. Wealth is a mirror. It reflects who you are inside. Become a master within, and the world without will mirror mastery in millions. Rise now. Take command. Detach from fear. Discipline yourself without mercy. Affirm your destiny with faith. Think with accuracy. Persist without end. Act with initiative. Embrace responsibility. Guard your silence. Multiply your gratitude. Stand tall. Speak with certainty. Walk with presence. Live as one already wealthy, already confident, already master. Do this, and it is only a matter of time before the world bows and says, "This is a multimillionaire." And when it does, you will know the truth. You were not made wealthy by chance, but by law, the law of self-mastery. The power to become a multimillionaire is not hidden from you. It is not reserved for the fortunate few, nor sealed away by fate. It lies waiting in the only place that has ever held it within your own mind. If you master that mind, you master everything. If you let it master you, you remain a slave forever. Ask yourself, who commands my life? Is it my fear, my doubt, my craving for approval, my attachment to comfort, or is it my will, my definiteness, my discipline, my faith? The answer to that question is the measure of your wealth. For a man ruled by weakness will never be rich no matter what he touches, and a man ruled by mastery cannot remain poor no matter where he begins. Think of this law. Riches begin the moment you take command of thought. The instant you decide with definiteness that you will master yourself, fortune has already begun to move toward you. Invisible currents shift, opportunities stir, ideas awaken. The world senses a master rising, and it prepares to yield. Delay comes, yes. Difficulty comes, yes. But defeat cannot come, for the law has already been set in motion. Therefore, do not wait. Do not tell yourself you need more time, more knowledge, more resources. The beggar has waited for centuries, and still he begs. The master begins where he is, with what he has, and by beginning multiplies it. Begin with minutes, begin with thought, begin with discipline, begin with detachment, begin with purpose. Begin, and the path will open. Refuse to begin, and the path will remain forever closed. There are two kinds of men, the drifter and the master. The drifter waits, reacts, complains, hopes, but never commands. His life is tossed by circumstance until it ends in mediocrity. The master decides, acts, disciplines, persists, and commands. His life bends circumstance until it ends in fortune. Both live by law. One lives by neglect of law and reaps poverty. The other lives by obedience to law and reaps wealth. Which are you? Say it now, with fire. I am not a drifter. I am a master. I will discipline myself. I will detach from weakness. I will affirm strength. I will think accurately. I will act with purpose. I will persist until fortune yields. I am a multimillionaire in mind, and therefore I must become one in fact. Do not whisper it. Declare it as law. Declare it as though the whole universe must hear and obey, for the universe does obey. It obeys the mastermind, the disciplined mind, the definite mind. And once your mind is absolute, nothing can deny you. Know this, millions are not the goal mastery island, but mastery always produces millions. You do not pursue money directly, you pursue command. And when command is yours, money arrives as its servant. Live not for dollars, but for discipline. Live not for applause, but for mastery. Live not for luxury, but for law. Luxury will follow law, applause will follow mastery, dollars will follow discipline. And when at last you stand as I do with wealth not only in bank, but in mind, in body, in character, in destiny, you will know the truth of what I have told you. I am a multi-millionaire, not because of chance, but because I mastered myself. And you can be too, if you will. Now go. Begin this very moment. 5 minutes of command today. 5 minutes of mastery tomorrow. 5 minutes until discipline becomes habit. Habit becomes character. Character becomes destiny. Go and take what is yours. For it is waiting, waiting for the man who will rise, command himself, and refuse to quit. Say it again. I am a multi-millionaire. I am disciplined. I am detached. I am confident. I am master of myself. I cannot be defeated. Wealth is mine by law. Say it until you believe. Believe until you act. Act until you become. Become until the world itself bends and says, here stands a master. Here stands a multimillionaire. And when it does, you will remember this moment. The moment you decided. The moment you took command. The moment you began. That moment is now.